If you have already watched this introductory information, you can skip ahead no more than 10 minutes. Hello, welcome. I am predicting that there will be a bombing at Trump's victory rally at the Capital One building in Washington, D.C. on January 19, 2025. It is predicted that J.D. Vance will be killed in the attack and that President Trump will be wounded. It is predicted that President Trump will die from a heart attack on February 13th, 2025. I am predicting that a suitcase nuke, or possibly a dirty bomb, will explode in Manhattan, New York City. On January 29th, 2025, there will be a large-scale evacuation from Manhattan Island. Martial law will be declared in the U.S. I am predicting that on February 19th, 2025, Vice President Kamala Harris will die in a plane crash in St. Louis due to a bird strike into Busch Stadium. In the area code 314, it will be a burning bush, as described in Exodus 3:14. She will be replaced by Michelle Obama, and then Barack Obama will replace Michelle. I am predicting that Joe Biden will suffer a stroke. It will either be faked that he is still alive or faked that he is not incapacitated and the 25th Amendment does not need to be invoked. It is predicted that Joe Biden will replace Kamala Harris with Michelle Obama as the vice president. It is predicted that Joe Biden will step down and Michelle Obama will become the 47th president. It is predicted that Michelle Obama will appoint Barack Obama as the 51st vice president. It is predicted that Michelle Obama will step down and then Barack Obama will become the 48th president. I am predicting that on February 17th, 2025, Israel will bomb, possibly with nuclear bombs, Iran's nuclear and energy weapons facilities. It is also possible that the U.S. will also bomb Iran on February 17th. It is predicted that on April 20th, 2025, there will be an outbreak of monkeypox or Marburg disease or both. April 20th will be a symbolic beginning to a new pandemic. Alternatively, it could also be that the symbolic beginning to the new pandemic will be on April 1st, 2025, and that on April 20th, 2025, martial law will be declared because of the new outbreak. If these predictions for April 1st and April 20th, 2025 do not come to pass, there will be a relevant prophetic sign that will occur on this date, making this date a step in the trail of signs leading to these particular events. It is predicted that on June 9th, the key will open the bottomless pit and fallen angels will cross over into the earthly realm. June 9th will be a symbolic beginning to the fifth trumpet judgment that is described in Revelation chapter 9, when the demonic realm collides with the earthly realm. June 9th will be a symbolic beginning to demons pretending to be aliens. The demons pretending to be aliens will claim to be here to help us with our nuclear weapons, and it is possible that June 9th will be the day Pope Francis will announce that aliens have arrived and have made him the ambassador for the world. This will immediately give Pope Francis, the Antichrist, supreme power over governments of the world. At some point, there will be a massive Mary apparition that will deceive the masses, because all Mary apparitions in history have been demons pretending to be Mary. June 9th will be a symbolic beginning to a zombie pandemic and the masses becoming demonically possessed that will be facilitated through the thing, which is the mark of the Antichrist and 5G frequencies. June 9th will be a symbolic beginning to the coming genocide politicide in America. If June 9th is not the date for these events, there will be a relevant prophetic sign or prophetic signs, which will make June 9th a step in the trail of signs leading to the date of the symbolic beginning of these things. I am predicting that singer-songwriter Paul Simon will die on August 1st, 2025. It is predicted that on August 6th, 2025, the historic barge that has been stuck on the rocks of the Niagara River for over 100 years will finally break free and crash over Niagara Falls. The reason for this is that Niagara Falls is Noah's flood symbolism, and the barge was involved in the most dramatic rescue in the history of Niagara Falls, symbolic of Noah's Ark. Niagara in the native language means straight, narrow way, and Niagara's Horseshoe Falls is perfectly aimed at the CN Tower in downtown Toronto, because Toronto and its tower are symbolic of the Tower of Babel. In a game of horseshoes, the object is to aim the horseshoe and throw it at the metal stick, which is why the Horseshoe Falls is perfectly aimed at the metal stick that is the CN Tower. God is communicating that as testament for those who will live in the 1,000 years of Christ's reign on earth, the geography of North America will, as a result of a massive earthquake, be divided by a body of water from the Great Lakes to the Mississippi Delta. This destruction will be judgment on America and Canada for attempting to divide God's land, Israel. When this happens, the water in the Great Lakes will spill out over southern Ontario and Toronto. I am predicting that a solar flare will erupt on the surface of the sun and send a coronal mass ejection that will hit Earth on August 13th, 2025, which will knock out America's power grid and will lead to food shortages. The hit of the coronal mass ejection, predicted for August 13th, that will knock out the power grid will also knock many planes out of the sky. It seems that the resurrection rapture event will coincide with the solar flare. The resurrection rapture event will be on August 13th, 2025. I am predicting that on August 23rd, 2025, there will be a catastrophic asteroid hit of Earth, which will trigger the eruption of Yellowstone volcano and will cause the volcano in the Canary Islands to collapse into the Atlantic Ocean and send a mega tsunami towards the east coast. The asteroid will also trigger a mega landslide on Hawaii Island that will trigger a mega tsunami that will hit the west coast. It will also trigger the collapse of the Hoover Dam, which will cause a water panic in California, and many other devastating earthquakes. The day of the Lord, the second coming of Lord Jesus Christ, Judgment Day, will be at the end of 2026. The date that this video is posted proves that these predictions are being made ahead of time, as do these time-stamped emails and forensic notes PDF documents. If you are skeptical for some reason, please email me and I will forward these to you. Believe me, I know far better than you how the prediction made in this video was derived, and more importantly, I know far better than you why the righteous Christian God of the Bible has given me a voice through this prediction. If you are a quote-unquote Christian or Muslim, this prediction was not learned through a demon. Be warned that blaspheming the Holy Spirit is the unforgivable sin. If you are a New Ager or New Spirituality person, this prediction was not learned through somehow tapping into the supposed universal collective consciousness. If you are a conspiracy theorist, this prediction was not learned through figuring out a supposed code that the Illuminati and Satanists are using. This prediction was learned through the Bible and through watching carefully the Lord's prophetic signs, which Jesus commanded all Christians to do. Besides proving that Jesus Christ is the Lord, the reason why God has given me a voice through this prediction is to prove that the controversial things that I am saying in the videos on this channel are the truth. Therefore, a wise person will want to watch all of the videos on this channel. What I will also do is create a video or two that summarizes some of the controversial things that the Lord will prove to be true when the prediction being made in this video comes to pass. I will leave links to these must-watch videos in the description box below this video. Again, the purpose of this prediction, that is from God, is to prove these things that I will talk about. And therefore, it would be foolish to not watch the videos that I will leave links for in the description box below this video. Make a note right now of these alternative platforms that you can find me on, in case you can't find me later. This is part 5 of this video series that is predicting that Trump's victory rally in Washington, D.C. on January 19th at the Capital One Arena will be bombed, J.D. Vance will die, and Trump will die on February 13th. I recommend watching these videos in chronological order, and I will leave the numbers for the videos either in the title or description box. All right, a friend of mine has been posting for me, the videos on X, and he has just told me that someone has retweeted it, and he checked out his page, and on it apparently is this information that I'm about to convey, which is that this connection, and this connection that was on the other person's page, is that 9/11 is 23 years, 4 months, and 8 days before this January 19th date, this 1/19 date, which hints at 9/11. Now, the reason why this is relevant, and I'm confident that the person that has at least posted this connection, who knows who discovered it, perhaps it was him. I don't even know who this person is. I'm just going with the information that I have from a friend, and thank you for posting this. But anyway, what I'm about to explain is the reason for this connection, which I doubt is explained anywhere else. It's not about me, of course. I'm just saying that this is what it really means. And it is amazing. And so, first of all, 23 years, 4 months, and 8 days does point to the Antichrist, as do the vast majority of God's prophetic signs. These end-time warning signs encode the identity of the Antichrist in general. And here's just another of thousands of examples. Because the Antichrist is the basketball president who wore jersey number 23, and he is predicted to become the 48th president. Okay? That's why 23 years, 4 months, and 8 days. It hints at 23 and 48. Currently, as of course it should be recognized if you are watching this after January 19th, currently it is before January 19th, and there isn't even yet a 47th president, let alone a 48th president. But Barack Obama will become the 48th president. That's more than clear from God's prophetic signs. Okay. The question is, why is this important? Why is 23 years, 4 months, and 8 days relevant? If I haven't mentioned yet, the reason for this being interesting in the first place is that this is the amount of time that Matthew McConaughey and his crew in the movie Interstellar are trapped in a time warp. This movie from 2014. Interstellar was a major movie in the year 2014. It was nominated for 5 Academy Awards. Actually, come to think of it, that's relevant, actually. Because it hints at the number, well, it is the number 5. And what we are talking about is the 5th trumpet. Okay, so this is why. This is why this movie was nominated for 5 Academy Awards. Because it did win 1 award, which was the award for Best Special Effects, which is symbolic of what I'm about to say, which is what the 5th trumpet is about. In the book of Revelation, there are these 7 trumpets of God's judgment. The 5th one regards the opening of the portal door with a key to the demonic realm. This is when the demonic realm collides with the earthly realm. Demons will pass through the portal and enter the world we know, the material world here. Not that demons are immaterial to begin with, but the demonic world will collide with this world. The movie Interstellar, the plot of the movie is about portals. That is the movie. The movie is about these portals, and one aspect of the plot of the movie is the tesseract, which is the term for, it's a term for the, I guess, 4-dimensional cube or something. But it's all science fiction. But the point is that in the movie, through the portal, Matthew McConaughey communicates with his daughter, whom he left at a young age, and in the meantime has been growing up. And so as an adult, he communicates to her some esoteric advanced math calculation code regarding black holes, and she receives it through Morse code through her stopwatch or something that he gave to her as a child, etc., right? So the point is that the movie is about portals. Furthermore, again, they are trapped in the time warp for 23 years, 4 months, and 8 days. So if they are in it, they come out of it. Again, another symbolic portal. That's what this is all about. Now, the 5th trumpet and the opening of the portal door to the demons, the demonic realm, is symbolized by Revelation 9:11, which is why God has connected the big warning of judgment on 9/11 in 2001 to this 9/11 date, which is 1/19, January 19th, 2025. Again, the connection is 23 years, 4 months, and 8 days, and a big dramatic moment in the movie Interstellar is when Matthew McConaughey's character learns how long he has been trapped in the time warp, and it's devastating because he realizes that he's lost all of this time with his daughter. So it's actually quite a sad story. I mean, anyway, that's the point of the significance of 23 or 4 months and 8 days. It's a big part of the plot of the movie. It's not even an obscure part of the plot. All right? So, in other words, it's iconic of the movie. And so that's why this 23 years, 4 months, and 8 days connection is astounding beyond words. And again, the reason for it being astounding again also is because of the portal in the 5th trumpet, that is in the 5th trumpet being symbolized by Revelation 9:11. And again, this movie was nominated for 5 Academy Awards. Now, why did it win 1 award, and the award being the best special effects? Well, that's just a nod to, or rather a hint at, the special effects that are coming and already have been coming, incidentally. The drones over the East Coast, etc., are not, they're not drones, first of all. Well, there's obviously some hysteria mixed into it, and a large number of whatever's being reported are actually just planes. But there are also demonic manifestations, if you will, in the sky that are what is happening over the... So anyway, it's an example of special effects. And no, they aren't drones from an advanced military operation from another country. That's a lot of bunk. Made by people that do not have a biblical, spiritual perspective to try to explain what's happening. So anyway, that's why it won special effects. This is symbolic of the special effects that are coming when the demonic realm collides with the earthly realm. And it will be, if you will, science fiction. I mean, the book of Revelation is, in a way, science fiction. But, it's just symbolism. Of course, it's not science and it's not fiction. Okay, so there's more to this, because this gets into what is predicted for this date, January 19th, which is the bombing of the rally of Trump's, the 47th president-elect. Okay? Now, this is interesting too, because the number 47 is symbolic of demons pretending to be aliens, which is what is going to happen when the portal door is opened. Why is it in God's signs that the number 47 symbolizes this? Well, that's because the big event that symbolizes UFOs and aliens was Roswell. And Roswell occurred on July 4th, 7/4, in 1947, in the 47th state to join the Union. So that's why. Also on 9/11 in 2001, which again is also a warning that points to Revelation 9/11. By the way, Revelation 9/11, the reason why that verse symbolizes the whole chapter is because that's the verse that describes the king that comes out of the bottomless pit that's opened with the portal door. King Abaddon, Apollyon. In Greek, Apollyon, in Abaddon, in Hebrew, Abaddon, and both names are mentioned in the text. And so that's why Revelation 9/11. Now, what I was saying is that on 9/11 in 2001, this number 47 shows up. It was 47 floors that collapsed in building number 7, the third building of the World Trade Center. So 747. That also hints at Roswell on the date 7/4 in 47. The 7th building and 47 floors. And no, they weren't bombed by bombs. They were, it's a sign from God. Although, if it was an act of sabotage by the government, then, or what does that even mean, really? The government, I mean, what are we talking about if that's the case? But anyway, it's neither here nor there. Okay, because if you look into it, just to finish that, I guess, it's easily debunked, that conspiracy theory about how it's impossible that Building 7 with its 47 floors could have collapsed on its own. That's not true. It did collapse because of the debris that had wrecked the structure of the building. Okay, but anyway, so we have this theme here, this number 47, and that's why this connects to the victory rally for the 47th president-elect. on this date that symbolizes Revelation 9:11, this date 119, which is about demons coming through the portal and pretending to be aliens and UFOs, for those who don't have a biblical worldview, which is why this will happen in the first place. It is a test. God's prerogative is to test the faith of quote-unquote Christians. That's the purpose of the end times and the Antichrist. It is to weed out who is a true Christian and who isn't, because there are a lot of people that call themselves Christians that are not Christians. For example, surveys show that the majority of quote-unquote Christians believe in the possibility of the existence of aliens, which means that they are not a Christian. Period. Okay? Now, I don't really mean period. They could just be confused and they're a little bit Christian, but that's not good enough. That's why the coming test. That's why the end times, because of the not good enough status of the vast majority of quote-unquote Christians. It's time for God to get them to make a decision and get off the fence, if you will, or whatever. God is in the process of separating the wheat from the chaff. So let me explain in this context. Because if someone has a biblical worldview, which is necessary, obviously, for being a Christian, well, let me just put it this way. The biblical worldview is that the center of the universe is earth. The center of God's creation is earth and man. The purpose of the creation is man. It's offensive to those who aren't Christian, but that's all right because they're not Christian. Those that believe that we are just another animal are anti-Christian. They're antichrist. Okay? That's the whole thing, right? So they've already been separated. You know, they're welcome to wake up to the truth and come to the Lord before it's too late. But they are not those that believe that man is just another animal. They're already on the wrong side, okay? But we have these people that have for whatever reason, whether it be cultural, their parental upbringing, or just, not being, serious about what they believe, and really, in other words, having a worldview, and being worldly in general probably goes hand in hand with that. These quote-unquote Christians actually believe that there's the possibility of aliens, but that's impossible. And I'll explain. Because God became a man in order to die for the sins of man so that man can live. And he did not hopscotch around the universe dying on crosses for the sins of other alien races in the form of other aliens. So it's impossible if you are a Christ, as in Christ, Ian, to believe in aliens. You don't really understand the gospel. It's so basic in a way. All right. There are, by the way, these theologians that are working hard to devise explanations for how there could be aliens and still there be Christ. They are not even deluded isn't the right word, but workers for Satan. Now, back to what I was saying about this connection with this Interstellar movie. So we have the 23 years, 4 months, and 8 days connection. What also is happening here is that January 19th, which now in this context has been established to be symbolism for opening the door to the portal, and which is in the fifth trumpet symbolized by Revelation 9:11, hence the day 119. So what's the door? Why is the bombing going to happen? How is that relevant? Well, this bombing will open the door for the return of the 44th president to the White House, the Antichrist, whose name is Obama, whose name in simple English gematria is equivalent to the word bomb. Obama is also equivalent in Hebrew gematria to the word bomb. And there's more to Obama, which I explain in many other videos. So I'll leave it at that. You can watch the other videos. The Obama Antichrist is the 44th president because the number 4 symbolizes door. The 4th letter of the Hebrew alphabet in ancient Hebrew was a pictogram that depicted a door. Also, Hebrew letters in ancient Hebrew were symbols for things. The 4th letter was a symbol for a door. That's why the 44th president. All right, now, in Bible prophecy, the number 666 is symbolic of the Antichrist. January 19th will be exactly 6 plus 6 plus 6 days after January 1st, when the first of the 2 Antichrists, from whom Barack Obama will get his power, as described in Bible prophecy, opened the 4th door in his big ritual when he opened 5 portal doors around Rome, connecting the dots of the locations on a map of Rome. You get a satanic symbol. Clearly, that's another story. You can search that out on the internet for that symbol. And I say that because I don't have time to stop these videos and edit them and put pictures in them. There's just not enough time. I got to get the information out. Now, the day that Pope Francis opened the 4th portal door, which was the big, I think, well, no, it wasn't the climax, actually. The climax actually was the 5th door, you would figure, actually, because it's the 5th door out of 5, which was the day of the Golden Globe Awards, and the 5th award ever of Carol Burnett. The 5th Carol Burnett Award was given out at the Golden Globes on January 5th, and Ted Danson won it, and that's because he starred in the show The Good Place. That's very good symbolism. It's about portals and moving between realms, right? That show. And also, the Carol Burnett show introduction was all about doors. And when I was reading into the Golden Globe, website, it took a couple of days for me to realize that, and to realize, wait a second, does the Carol Burnett introduction to the show begin with any kind of doors? I had no idea. And sure enough, I found it on YouTube, and not only is it all about doors, but there's 5 of them. The cartoon character of Carol Burnett opens the door to the studio, and then inside she opens 3 doors, one for each of her co-stars, and then she opens the door to the stage. And then the stage curtain drops, another portal symbolism through which then she peeks through. So it's another portal door symbolism. But anyway, there's 5 doors in that introduction, and that's because of the 5 doors. But it's also symbolic of the 5th trumpet, in which the portal door is opened. The reason why Carol Burnett, because it hints at the burning of Los Angeles and Hollywood, because in the award ceremony on that day, as you may have heard, the show mocked God. It talked about the shout-outs to these 2 other people and their acceptance speeches having supposedly been on fire. That's what she said, the hostess. She said that. Their acceptance speeches were on fire, and they got these shout outs, and then it said that God got no shout outs, 0 shout outs. So they mocked God, they mentioned fire, and it was the day of the 5th Carol Burnett Award, and then right after that, Hollywood burned. All right? Well, anyway, that's the 5th door. Let's go back to the 4th door, though, because that's the day that 6 + 6 + 6 days before this 119 date that symbolizes Revelation 9:11 and the portal door that's opened. On that same day, well, that day, first of all, was Hanukkah day 4 + 4. It was the 8th day of Hanukkah, which is 4 + 4. Actually, it's 23 years, 4 months, and 8 days. So 23 years and 4 months. Well, no, never mind. Sorry. So anyway, January 1st, Hanukkah day 4 + 4, 4th door opened by the Pope in his big prophetic ritual. And also, that was the day that the 4-meter high waves ended. And they began on the same day that Pope Francis began opening the doors. The waves I'm talking about are the unprecedented waves that hit the coast of South America, Peru, Chile, and Ecuador. The reason for that is because Peru and Chile symbolize aliens because of the Nazca lines, those that believe, which is the majority of people on Earth today, in the ancient aliens theory, that aliens have been here before, were descended from aliens, or something to that effect. They believed the Nazca lines were created to communicate with the aliens. The Pope, when he visited in 2018, he wore his garb with a big image of the most iconic of the Nazca lines, which is the giant. In the Bible, in Genesis chapter 6, the giants are symbolic of the demons, just like aliens are demons. So, okay. And now there's more to that too. The waves killed 3 people, and they hit the coasts of 3 nations. That's, so I jumped ahead. Okay, and also they shut down the ports of Peru, part of the story. 91 ports. 91 is the 13th triangular number. God has used this number 91 previously in his signs to give us the number 13 because it is the 13th triangular number. In a triangle of numbers, the last number in the 13th row is 91. And the waves were 13 feet high. So what I meant to say was this. The waves killed 3 people, and they were 13 feet high, which gives us a 3 and 13. They hit the coasts of 3 nations and shut down the ports of Peru, which is the 13th triangular number of ports. Again, that's also portal door symbolism. The ports. Truly, there's obviously not only does the word sound like it, but the reason why it's called a port is because of it being like a portal between places. When you ship across something from one port to another, it's like you're going out of one port and entering another world through the other port. That's why they're called ports. So anyway, you have portal symbolism there too. But again, it was 3 coasts of nations, 3 nations' coasts, and 13th triangular number of ports closed, which is another 3 and 13. So you have 2 3 and 13s. Hopefully you got that. I don't want to repeat it. The reason for the 2 3 and 13s is that Pope Francis, who started opening the portal doors on the same day that the waves started, and opened the 4th door on the day that the waves ended, that were 4 meters high. The reason for the 2 sets of 3 and 13s is because Pope Francis was elected Pope on the date 313 in 2013. The two antichrists are described in the book of Revelation, chapter 13. The number 13 in the Bible, furthermore, symbolizes the Antichrist. Nimrod, a type for the Antichrist, was the 13th generation from Adam, and Haman, another type for the Antichrist, persecuted the Jews on the 13th days of the month. And again, the two Antichrists are described in the book of Revelation in chapter 13. But Pope Francis was elected in 13 on the date 313 because Rome converted to Catholicism in the year 313 AD, which was the worst thing to happen to Christianity. Because for one thing, it became cultural that everyone in the nation, in society, became a quote-unquote Christian, which is why we are at where we are at today. That way of perceiving Christianity has been passed down even through Catholicism and was not gotten rid of. You have plenty of Protestants that think the same way, basically, which is that they're Christian when they aren't. That's a travesty. You don't want that. It's not good for anyone, not even including those that call themselves Christians, because they don't know that they're not Christians. They don't know that they're not going to make it. It's the wicked deception from Satan. That's why Catholicism is the wolf in sheep's clothing, because it fools people. It fools the masses. If Satan were to devise something to counter Christianity, the perfect way to do it would be Catholicism. Not only is it pagan religion, the thing that God hates the most, and chastised the Israelites for over and over, and then ultimately exiled them for mixing their true religion with the pagan religion of their neighbors, which is what Catholicism is. Christianity mixed with pagan religion. Not only that, though, but what I'm saying is that it fools these people into thinking they're all right. They've gone to the church, they've confessed their sins to the man in the box, and then do them again, and do all the things that the Bible says not to do, including Jesus when he said, do not repeat repetitious prayers, which is what Catholics are constantly doing. But also, they also take the piece of bread as if that's part of their salvation. Anyway, that's not going to make this video about Catholicism, but we are speaking about the Pope. And the Pope's fourth door on Hanukkah day 4+4 connects with 6 + 6 + 6 days to the door that will open for the 44th president to become the president again, which is the bombing of the 47th president-elect. Okay, so now we got the 4-meter high waves ending on the day the Pope opened the fourth portal door on Hanukkah day 4+4, which was a new moon, and it was New Year's Day. This new moon was said by many to be ominous because it occurred precisely at the new year, which is interesting. Where was the moon at this time? Well, the moon was in Sagittarius, but if you connect the lines of the constellation, you can clearly make out a boat. And the iconic images of the waves that ended on that day, as in the end times, were the boats being rocked around and smashed on the coasts of South America. Now, so we had, and then on the 5th, after Hollywood mocked God on the day that the 5th door was opened and Carol Burnett's award was awarded for the 5th time to the guy, Ted Danson, who starred in the show about portals, if you will, and then Hollywood burned. That led to Los Angeles County Sheriff Luna being very important. And now I'm getting into something that's I've already written a lot about, but haven't put into a video yet. And it's off track anyway. I can't explain everything in one video, but that's why explaining God's big picture of signs, patterns, and connections his true big picture of science patterns connections, which is only being explained on this channel, is extremely difficult, because when you explain or attempt to one part of the web, you end up pulling the entire web because it's all interconnected. Now, to try to finish this up, what we need to do is discuss the Bible passage that all of this pointed to on January 1st, which is Luke 21:25. So let me just get that. All right, here is Luke 21:25. And there will be signs in the sun and moon and stars. Okay, that's the moon that I just mentioned, the new moon. By the way, on the new moon, the Lunar New Year in the Chinese Lunar New Year will be the predicted date of the bombing in Manhattan. That's why Sheriff Luna presided over the investigation of the deadliest mass shooting in Los Angeles County history, which was the Chinese Lunar New Year shooting in 2023. Anyway, that's another story, like I was saying. I can't get into it. But so we have the sign in the sun and moon and stars, which is what I just explained, and the earth, and on the earth, distress of nations. That's Chile, Peru, and Ecuador, in perplexity, which is truly descriptive because that's what was exactly the case. The people in these nations were perplexed because these waves had not occurred like this before. Oh, and by the way, they were said to have emanated from the coast of the U.S., which makes this a U.S. sign, as are God's signs, because America is God's Gentile nation that he's focused on and judging. And that is because the beginning of the waves coincided with the prophetic football game on Christmas Day, in which the halftime show was Beyonce, who performed her Cowboy Carter album. And Beyonce is known for being obsessed with the number 4. For example, she has an album named 4, which is the Roman numeral 4. Well, I think. But anyway, she has the Roman numeral 4 tattooed on her wedding ring finger, as does her husband. And they named their child Ivy after the Roman numeral for 4, I and V. And so that's why she performed Cowboy Carter 4 days before the death of Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter, the oldest living president, is symbolic of the oldest living person in the Bible, Methuselah, who was Noah's grandfather and died on the day that the flood began. And Methuselah means when he dies, destruction. In other words, when Jimmy Carter dies, destruction. All right. So, now, back to and the stadium that the game was played in, what was in Pittsburgh, as in the bottomless pit. It was against the Chiefs, as in the two Antichrist Chiefs. And the stadium's name, which was previously named Heinz, because Heinz ketchup, and there was a big giant bottle of ketchup at the stadium, is the king of ketchup. And we are talking about the Antichrist king. And Jimmy Carter is symbolism, as I explained in other videos, for the 5th through 8th king's prophecy. And anyway, the name of the stadium currently is Acrisure. That's spelled A-C Risher, and Risher is an archaic word in French for waves. AC hints at Antichrist. It's an abbreviation for Antichrist. Those who are interested in prophetic signs like myself often use the abbreviation. Okay, so that's why the Antichrist opened these portal doors at the beginning of Hanukkah, at the same time as this football game, which was about AC waves at the bottomless pit, Pittsburgh. And and the bottle of ketchup, formerly because of the king of ketchup, but it's Formula 57, because of the fifth out of seven trumpets. The fifth out of seven trumpets is the bottomless pit trumpet. It also hints at 5G frequencies because G is the seventh letter. So 57 hints at that too. It is 5G frequencies that will trigger the mass demonic possession of people who have taken the mark of the Antichrist. All right. Now, so back to this passage here. There will be signs in the sun and moon and stars, and on the earth distress of nations in perplexity because of the roaring of the sea and the waves, people fainting with fear and with foreboding of what is coming on the world. For the powers of the heavens will be shaken. Jesus is speaking, by the way. The powers of heavens will be shaken is a reference to the collision between the demonic realm and the earthly realm. That's exactly what he's referring to. And that's why people will be fainting and foreboding on what is coming on the world. People will not be able to handle this. Even if they're just at first pretending to be aliens, that will cause people to faint and fear. Let alone when they reveal themselves to be demons and start demonically possessing people. Now, this is actually the second time that God pointed to this prophecy, incidentally, because there was the Great American Eclipse on the 21st of the month in 2017. And that was a sign in the sun and moon and stars, obviously. And then on the 25th, we had the confirmation, the follow-up judgment of the warning, because the eclipse warned of judgment, and then the judgment happened, but it in itself was another warning, really. That was Hurricane Harvey. The path of totality of the eclipse, after it exited the U.S. over the Atlantic, made a bullseye on Hurricane Harvey that was forming at the time, and then Hurricane Harvey turned into the Category 4, that hit the fourth biggest city in the U.S. with 4 feet of water over 4 days after the eclipse. That's because of the fourth door symbolism and the 44th president. Now, because again, the number 4, the fourth letter in the Hebrew alphabet is symbolic of the door. Now, so that was the 21st and the 25th of the month, and that's why it hinted at Luke 21:25, because there will be signs in the sun and moon and stars, and on the earth distress of nations in perplexity because of the roaring of the sea and the waves, which is what Hurricane Harvey was. This last part has still yet to happen. Now, when is this going to happen is the big question. I believe the answer is known. The symbolic beginning to what you might call Aliens Day, Revelation 9/11 Day, Seven Thunders Day, 5G Day, I don't know what you want. God is using so much, Fifth Trumpet Day, all right? There's going to be a symbolic beginning. Not saying everything that I just mentioned is going to happen on that same day, the mass demonic possession, etc. But something symbolic is going to happen. And God is pointing to June 9th. Now, the way the big picture, the true big picture of signs, patterns, and connections works is, unfortunately, in a way, God can, well, not unfortunately, because God's revealing all the time and there's more to come, but in trying to tell the world about it, it's unfortunate because you tell them and then it doesn't happen, and they don't have the eyes to see the prophetic sign that happened that God was pointing to that confirmed all of the analysis. Anyway, if June 9th isn't the symbolic beginning, then there will be a relevant prophetic sign that will occur on that day that will confirm all of the analysis, and I cannot guarantee that you will recognize it, especially if you don't have spiritual eyes to see and aren't interested in these things. And so that's the way it works. But if it is the symbolic date it begins, I believe the thing that will happen on the beginning day possibly, probably, will be aliens in the mainstream news. The world will know that there are aliens, but in reality, of course, they are demons pretending to be aliens for those who are asking for the deception they will be getting. As 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 explains, people get the deception they ask for. The world is asking for the deception of aliens. They've rejected God. The West has rejected God. They now believe in aliens because they are just another animal, and so therefore the universe is filled with alien life, etc. So there you have it. They're going to get the deception they ask for because, as the text says, they refused to love the truth and so be saved. Therefore, God sends them a strong delusion so that they may believe what is false in order that they may be condemned for not loving the truth but taking pleasure in unrighteousness. I mean, the bottom line for the reason why they reject God is them taking pleasure in unrighteousness. And I don't just mean sex, of course. That can be for example, the left that worships politics. I mean, they love their false religion. Same with anyone that's in any false religion, they love it. Like, for example, people who do yoga, who get the supernatural highs from the meditation in yoga, believing they can so-called spiritually evolve their self, but they get the deception they ask for. The supernatural highs they get that end up becoming a lower low later, like a drug addict, are the counterfeit Holy Spirit because they get the deception they ask for. So anyway, those who have already seen aliens or those who have been abducted by aliens are the ones that have asked for it. They really wanted to find the aliens and seek out the UFOs, or they were really curious about it or whatever, to that effect. Now, June 9th, 2025 will be 141 days after the door that will open for the 44th president, the bombing in Washington, D.C. at Trump's rally that will ultimately kill him on February 13th and kill J.D. Vance on January 19th. This door, on this date 119 that symbolizes the portal door, 141 days difference. Well, 141 is the 46th semi-prime number, and the door will also be through the 46th president. That's why Joe Biden is the president, Barack Obama's old pal, because it was meant all along that he would open the door for Barack Obama. I am so surprised that it took until the very last day. I mean, not really surprised now when I think about it. I mean, that's how God would do it. But I knew before the shoplifted referendum in 2020 that I knew even when Joe Biden was the nominee for the Democrat Party that the purpose of all of this was so that he could have Obama become the president again through stepping down. And that I knew all along was the reason for his mental gaffes and him losing his mind slowly over time. I knew that this was the reason for all of this. And I did not expect it to take the entire term. But it did. The entire term is what it took. And not only that, it's going to take more than the entire term because he's going to be the temporary president when he declares martial law after these bombings in Washington and New York City. And then step down. He'll first make Michelle Obama the 47th president, though. And then she will appoint Barack as her vice president, and then she will step down. All right. So, but 46 is also 2 times 23. And I'm getting to why this is really relevant. First of all, though, 223 is the 48th prime number. That's pretty relevant. But what we are talking about, well, it is the door to the portal that will open for Obama to become the 48th president. But why does it connect to June 9th? Unless Obama becomes the 48th president on that day, and that's the symbolic sign that we're expecting, and then, therefore, like I explained a minute ago, June 9th, it will be a step in the trail of signs leading to the symbolic day that the portal is opened. That could very well be, actually. It could be that June 9th is the day that Obama becomes the 48th president, in which case this connection really does make sense. This 141 days, which hints at 223, because again, it's the 46th semi-prime number, and 46 is 2 times 23. Now, but 2 times 23 gives us the 2 2s and a 3, which is really relevant here because that hints at the verse that symbolizes all of this. The big plan, the big Antichrist plan, Satan's big plan, Genesis 3:22, which symbolizes the lie that will be promoted by the demons pretending to be aliens. The lie that is the first lie ever told by the serpent in the garden to Eve, that she shall surely not die if she disobeys God and takes the forbidden fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And it all comes full circle. This attempt to be like God, immortal, without God. Genesis 3:22 is when God shut the door to Eden lest they take the fruit from the tree of life and become immortal like God, without God. So that's the symbolism here. The promise of immortality is coming through the mark of the Antichrist, but don't get me wrong, people have already taken the mark of the Antichrist, including the vast majority of quote-unquote Christians, because the thing is the mark of the Antichrist. And when this prediction comes to pass, make no mistake, it is for the purpose to prove what I just said. And believe me, I know far better than you the purpose of this prediction that is from God. It is to prove that the thing has already been taken, and it is the mark of the Antichrist. Case closed. End of debate, no more discussion. Those who have based on the objections people have based on their understanding of Bible prophecy are answered at the end of the must-watch snake bite video on this channel. Anyway, so that's why all of this, I figure, is why this Interstellar movie with its portal door theme connects between these two dates, 9/11 and 1/19, which hint at Revelation 9/11 and the portal door. It's because it's opening the door to Barack Obama, and then in turn, with the connection that I just explained, to June 9th, 2025. All right, I think I've explained enough for this particular video. Okay, I forgot to add to the video here something that I knew before, or realized before the beginning of making this video, is that the character's name of Matthew McConaughey in the movie is Joseph Coop. I believe his last name is Cooper, and so in the movie, his nickname is Coop. And this hints at coup, and the coup of the presidency as a result of this bombing. This bombing is part of a coup. There is a coup that has been ongoing in America for a few years now, but it will escalate with this bombing. And so the name Joseph Coop, as in Cooper, as in coup, hints at this. But we have a second, third witness to confirm this too, which is what's required, as the Bible states. And this is how God's true big picture of signs, patterns, and connections works, which is only being explained on this channel. It works on the principle of second and third and multiple witnesses confirming a matter. And here, the second witness is the first name of Joseph, which hints at Joseph Biden. Again, the door to the White House that will be opened for the 44th president will be this bombing and his old pal, Joseph Biden. I think I might have mentioned earlier in this video, I have known since even before the shoplifted referendum in 2020 that the reason why Joe Biden was the nominee was for this to happen. I did not expect it to take the entire term, but that's the reason for Joseph. And so that's why the name of the character is Joseph. But what also confirms that, another second witness, is what I have just been explaining, which is the 141 days from the predicted bombing on January 19th to this symbolic portal opening Revelation 9/11 day, June 9th, 2025. Again, 141 days is the 46th semi-prime number. God uses semi-prime numbers, a number only divisible by two other prime numbers. He uses this for symbolism, and so this 141 days is quite appropriate. It's even much more appropriate now that we have this piece of the puzzle here, the name of Matthew McConaughey's character, Joseph. That confirms also the 141 days because, of course, Joseph Biden is the 46th president. That's very important. His name, again, is Ku, and I'm just repeating myself now, so I think I've explained it.
Believe me, I know far better than you how the prediction made in this video was derived. And more importantly, I know far better than you why the righteous Christian God of the Bible has given me a voice through this prediction. If you are a quote-unquote Christian or Muslim, this prediction was not learned through a demon. Be warned that blaspheming the Holy Spirit is the unforgivable sin. If you are a New Ager or New Spirituality person, this prediction was not learned through somehow tapping into the supposed universal collective consciousness. If you are a conspiracy theorist, this prediction was not learned through figuring out a supposed code that the Illuminati and Satanists are using. This prediction was learned through the Bible and through watching carefully the Lord's prophetic signs, which Jesus commanded all Christians to do. Besides proving that Jesus Christ is the Lord, the reason why God has given me a voice through this prediction is to prove that the controversial things that I am saying in the videos on this channel are the truth. Therefore, a wise person will want to watch all of the videos on this channel. What I will also do is create a video or two that summarizes some of the controversial things that the Lord will prove to be true when the prediction being made in this video comes to pass. I will leave links to these must-watch videos in the description box below this video. Again, the purpose of this prediction, that is from God, is to prove these things that I will talk about. And therefore, it would be foolish to not watch the videos that I will leave links for in the description box below this video. Aliens and UFOs are demons masquerading as aliens and UFOs. Most people's spiritual experiences are demonic deception, especially if they are not a true follower of Christ. In the last days, many people who claim to be a follower of Christ will have spiritual experiences that are in reality demonic. God became a man and died a horrible death at the hand of the ruler of this world, Satan, and then defeated death for you, so that you too can overcome death, which is the price that must be paid for sin. It is time to repent, which means to change one's ways and turn to God and become a disciple of Jesus.
Do not listen to or follow the example of most quote-unquote Christians. Instead, follow the teachings of Jesus, which most quote-unquote Christians ignore. Like Jesus, you must surrender your life. Put nothing ahead of Jesus, your Lord. Like Jesus, you must lay down your life so that you may live. As Jesus said, one must die first like a kernel of wheat going into the ground, in order to then grow and produce fruit. And like Jesus said, one must produce fruit, or else like a branch or a tree not producing fruit, they will be thrown into the fire. One must die the self in order to be born again. And like Jesus said, one must be born again to enter the kingdom. Like Jesus, you must sacrifice your life for the sake of the coming kingdom. It means to do work that involves some form of sacrifice and risk. To have faith does not mean to intellectually agree. You need to demonstrate your faith through taking action. The primary reason that the wrath of God is coming upon America is quote-unquote Christians that do not get what I have just explained. The only reason a Christian is alive is in order to help other people become Christians and make it to the kingdom. Through Christ's ransom payment, a Christian is someone who has been redeemed and freed from slavery to sin and Satan. In response, a true Christian recognizes that their life in this world does not belong to them, and they become a willing slave to Jesus for the sake of the kingdom. Please leave a like and upvote the video, and once this prediction has come to pass, share this video with everyone you know, and more. Don't stop sharing it everywhere in social media. And don't only put the link to this video or another video on this channel in comments sections of places you typically visit. But importantly, put the link to the video in places you never visit, where people who don't think like you visit. If you are a quote-unquote Christian, nothing in terms of an evangelism tool compares to this video with its prediction. It is a massive bag of gold. Beware of Jesus' warning through the quote-unquote Christian that did nothing with his bag of gold and was banished to hell. Also, read Ezekiel chapter 3 and 33 for this same warning. If you think you might be spending too much time watching videos instead of working and sacrificing for the kingdom through handing out flyers and potentially helping hundreds of people in the same length of time as a video, my flyer is filled with amazing information that people need to know right now, and it points people to the video channel. Now is not the time to be handing out typical evangelical tracts that are largely based in error anyway, such as, quote, Jesus loves you, unquote, for example. You can hand out the flyer on busy street corners, put them on car windshields in busy parking lots, and put them in mailboxes. Just send the file to your local print shop. You can download the file from the website. It is essential that everyone immediately read the homepage of my website, TrumpPrediction.com. If you are watching this on the YouTube platform, please note that not all of the videos are on YouTube. You need to switch to the Odyssey.com or Rumble.com channel, and do it now in case you aren't able to later.